crazy.
But it doesn't matter. The game is just making money like crazy, and I think that a lot of you see, like the same thing for Kickstarter. You know, like a lot of the luster outside of E3 is gone. I mean, like Shenmue just killed it because Sony came out.
That Kickstarter? Was that bananas or what?
Yeah, you know, they had a pretty good advertising firm of the guy who owns Sony, or the CEO of Sony. So,
was that his pet project right there?
No, that was it. He was just like, go out and check out Shenmue on Kickstarter, and they showed the Shenmue video, and everyone just they just went through the roof. I think a lot of now AAA publishers are going to start using Kickstarter. So Kickstarter's like really diluted.
Well,
now.
That's it. Well, it's become this weird thing where it's no longer it's. I've listened to a few, read some articles and listened to a few podcasts where people talk about how it's skewing the public perception of what the real cost of making a game is, because they're going like, look, this thing made $4 million, $5 million, $6 million, and then they say they need more, and then it's like, yeah, because a game of that size and that scope, that's a drop in the bucket. I mean, Shenmue 3, that's $6 million. What that was not actually raising money to make a game. I mean, listen, it's $6 million.
Exactly.
It's going to go into what that is proving to a publisher, see, look, we were able to raise $6 million essentially in pre-sales. That's really what it is. So now you give us the money that you weren't sure you were going to give us.
Well, it's marketing.
But to the average person, they're saying $6 million is what it costs to make Shenmue 3, and that's so not true.
It's not. Shenmue is the most expensive games ever made.
Right. I mean, it was an expansive, game. It was like misunderstood even when it came out. I mean, like it was an interesting.
I love Shenmue. I love the Dreamcast.
I mean, it was ahead of its time. I used to kick my brother's ass in Virtua Tennis all the time. It was a great console, for sure. And it's crazy, you know what I mean? I think Kickstarter, it's weird how there are, like, rabid detractors and defenders on both ends, where it's like, you get Shenmue, you get Zach Braff, you get Spike Lee, you get the Pebble Watch on Kickstarter. It gives more eyeballs to the smaller guys. It's like, oh, now I'm on Kickstarter. Now I'm looking for other stuff on Kickstarter. But, detractors are saying, hey, you're taking away eyeballs from things that actually do need the money. If you're getting $6 million for Shenmue, if you got $5 million, you'd be fine. You know what I mean? You'd be okay with 5. If you would be okay with 5, you'd be okay with 4. If you'd be okay with 4, you'd be okay with 3, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of distractors on Kickstarter that just were people that had good faith and didn't realize that their Kickstarter projects were never going to come to fruition.
Well, dude, do you remember when Kickstarter came out and they were like, this is crowdfunding. This is for, like, small Indian villages so they can get, like, a bakery or whatever. And I was like, this is the dumbest fucking idea ever. This is never I'm not sending $5 to some random dude. Like, they're probably going to send me their penis on a Google Hangout.
Exactly.
But it's gotten huge now. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's gotten huge, but it's weird because, like, if you lose on Kickstarter, right? Like, say you find a game and you're like, this game's great. These guys, and you're not related to them. You don't have any family members. You're not friends with these guys, and you sink like $50 in, and the game just sucks and never comes out, and it becomes vaporware, becomes one of those things. Those Kickstarter users don't come back. Right. I mean, what is the point of, like, because when you win, you get a game that everyone else can get.
Right. That's a burn. I've got a really good friend. Of mine who loves Kickstarter. Does not give any money to games. He's got 19 different shoehorns. He's got the titanium shoehorn. He's got the carbon alloy shoehorn. This dude loves to find ways to easily put his shoes on. I don't get it, but he loves Kickstarter so much. I think there must be people like that for games, where it's like, you know what? If they don't come out with this, this particular shoehorn, that's okay. I got 19 other ones. That's fine.
Here's a question for the panel: have you guys given to Kickstarter projects? I personally have not. Not yet. I think I would. There's some that I wish you know what? I would have given money to Thimbleweed Park, which is the point-and-click adventure that Ron Gilbert and Gary Winnick are the Maniac Mansion guys. I would pre-order that sight unseen. If I had known about it when it was still an active Kickstarter, I totally would have given to it. But I haven't. But what Kickstarters have you guys given to?
Well, I've given to some terrible Kickstarters.
Did you help Detroit to build the RoboCop statue? That was my favorite one from a few years ago.
That's how Eric got his face into the NBA Jam.
This thing is great. This thing is really great. This is like
That reflective plastic box. That is amazing.
yeah, it's a little you make an airplane, a paper airplane, and you can like throw the paper airplane and control it with an app.
That's pretty
So
tough.
it's like the lowest type of drone you can ever imagine, right?
It's kind of cool.
The thing crashes in, pretty soon. But you can kind of, it's got a little propeller on the end and stuff. And this is probably my best Kickstarter. It's like $15. The games that I've done, I don't know what to do. I mean, like, and for mobile, it's just brutal because nobody wants to kickstart a mobile game.
Isn't that
it's just weird.
Why is that?
I will say I'm working on a client project that got funded through Kickstarter. So she was able to hire me and an artist by kickstarting it. So
That's great.
There are good songs. Yeah, she wouldn't have been able to. Yes and no. It's for kids. It's
Educational app.
Educational-ish.
Would you let your kids play it?
Would I? Yeah. They skew a little young for the target audience, but yeah.
That's a download then. I'm into it.
One thing I was like, I've planned on some Kickstarters and I've planned on some Indiegogo stuff, because I screen my own shirts and like just like I'm talking about.
Indiegogo is the one that even if you don't meet your goal, you get the cash, right?
Yeah, it's just like there's so much work with the Kickstarter. You got to Indiegogo. You can just if you don't win, you still get your cash, but you lose like 15% versus 10 or 7 or whatever.
Okay.
But there's so much work involved in it, and it's like almost like a full-time job. I mean, you really got to get out there and beat the pavement, and that's like a month of development you lose.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
true. That's such a good point, Eric.
Yeah, and then after that, you've got a bunch of people that have paid you money, and they're wondering what the hell you're doing. And the best thing I like about this indie game dev thing right now is I answer to nobody. I love it. I mean, no one can be. I mean, I got a lot of fans like, oh, when's Quest 2? When's Quest 2? When's Quest 2? But I'm not beholden to them because they bought a $1.99 app, and they've already been delivered. There's something about being able to roll on the front end. No, wait, back end. Is it back end or front end? If you're getting
now you're on back. Now you're on the back end.
Yeah, back end. It's something about rolling on the back end that I like a lot better than getting the money up front. And a lot of that was because I was actually trying to escape the publisher model for a long time, but there's never been a better time to just make your own games than now, because the publisher model that I was in, you had to get a publisher. Even if you had your own game, we made our own game in 1998 called Cheese Frenzy, and it was like real casual and everything, but we realized real quick when we put it online that we would be paying more in bandwidth charges just by selling it. But right now, Apple and Google and Steam, all those guys pay for the bandwidth charges and the hosting.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, when you think about it, 30% to handle distribution and customer acquisition, and also it's great. It's a good deal. It's credit card processing, everything else. I mean,
yeah, but with publishers and stuff, there was a time when that didn't exist, and you had to pitch your idea to publishers. You had to do kind of the whole Kickstarter song and dance, and that's why a lot of older developers really love Kickstarter, and some of them are really great at it. Brian Fargo's just excellent at doing Kickstarters, and he's also excellent at delivering them. He actually delivers on his stuff. And there's the whole.
Besides Wasteland 2, what else has he done on Kickstarter?
He's got Bard's Tale going now for a couple million, which is not really as much as he thought he would. But he's going to sink his own money, and he's going to make a great product. And then you have other people on there that just kind of jumped on it, to like Richard Garriott, who is making Shroud of the Avatar. Yeah, and there's a lot of like.
Is that technically going to be an Ultima game, or does he not own that?
Yeah, I'm kind of out of it. I mean, because now it's like one of these perpetual online stores. You buy a house, you buy you buy a chicken. Yeah, I'm not really.
You feed the chicken.
Which is good for me because I make Ultima-like games.
Yeah.
My games are very Ultima-esque. and wizardry-esque and anything that was from the 80s. So, if he can't understand his own work, then I'll gladly, make Quest Lords until the cows come home.
So
But
you're gonna just SEO Quest Lord out?
pretty
Alternate
much.
keywords
I mean,
and all
I
that?
even met up with Richard Garriott, did an interview with him and stuff. It's on my HoustonGameDev.org, and yeah, it was really fun. But the publisher model for shipping your own stuff was really brutal. And for Nintendo, it got really brutal because with Nintendo, they were like, okay, we don't want to do anything original, because we've got Mario, we've got Star Fox. You're going to have to go to publishers. So you go to a publisher, and a publisher's like, it costs $140,000 to make these little carts. Show us what you have. Okay, that's great. We just spent $500,000 on the Scooby-Doo license. So we're going to spend $650,000 making a Scooby-Doo game. Make us a Scooby-Doo game. And that's what you did. There was no, I'm going to make a Nintendo game and make it original and stuff like that. So I think that, this goes back to the, will someone buy your militants? And it's like, there really is no real reason to sell it at this time. Like, grow it slowly like a little flower and have that brand grow up into a huge tree. That's probably in the long run definitely going to be more self-satisfying, and it's also going to be more of a reward if you put in a lot of good work. It's
Using the baby analogy, Eric. It's your baby.
Yeah, there you go. So the Kickstarter thing, I think while it relieves a lot of monetary pressure, I don't know if it relieves the impending doom of finishing it for other people pressure.